video, I'm just going to go over a little tip for adjusting your mesh after you've applied the skin modifier. Now this will only work for small changes. It won't work for massive changes. Like you couldn't replace a whole arm or fix any, by replacing it. It won't work like that. This is for small, very small fixes. I've got to be honest, actually, I haven't tried it with anything massive. You shouldn't need to. But yeah, it works relatively well. It can be a little tricky at times, but it should help you. So the first thing I'll show you is what happens if you try and do it. If you try and do it without going through this method. So if I go to Edible Poly, and it gives you this warning, and we're just going to ignore that. If I make a change, let's say for instance this one up here, which is the one that we're going to fix shortly. If I go and actually do that, remove and turn like so, that is probably enough on its own to just make it stop working. So if I remove this, as you can see, it's doing it, but it's no longer moving. So it's lost all the skin weights. So that's a lot of hard work just disappeared. We'll reload it. Okay. Now, the first thing you've got to do this trick is to make sure that your character is in its sort of default stance. So that's the stance you built it in. So yeah, make sure those are tipped. Okay, so he looks like that. Or, is any of your if it's your character, he's in his idle pose. Right. The next thing we've got to do is we've got to go in and we've got to turn off always deform. And we're going to copy that and then collapse it. Okay? So, now we can go in and continue as normal. Do our changes. Turn, and we can remove that one, turn it. Okay, and I want to recreate the cut there. Yeah, I'm just going to move the forehead up also because I don't like where it is there. Okay. An important tip as well, something that I didn't adhere to there, so I'm going to go back and just do that, is use preserve UVs, because that'll make sure when you're moving things after you've texture mapped that it maintains where it is. However, I think it's probably skewed it anyway, because that was never like that in the first place. I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, last one. Right, so there we go. That's it fixed. If there's any other fixes in your character that you need to do, make sure you do them. But I do recommend also not doing too much. Do it in little bits, little chunks. So, to get the skin weights back, we're going to paste it in. So click on there, and if it doesn't show up, it will. There we go, it came up then, and I just ignored it. Come on. Don't be like this. There it is. Paste. Stubborn thing. Okay. So it's pasted them back in, and always deform needs to be turned back on. And now, if it doesn't work, there's another step, but if it does, then happy days. Okay, so it hasn't worked this time, so we've got to go back in, collapse all again, and then paste it back in once again. turn on always default. And this time it has worked, as you can see. So it's a little bit tricky, you might have to do it a few times before it does it, but it will eventually work. And there we go. So I've made my change, and I've kept my skim weights. Happy days.